Hey there, fellow nostalgia aficionados. Welcome back. David Eon here in the Open by Chance Vintage Toy Museum, Nostalgia Museum, Media Museum, as it were. Anything and everything nostalgia. Today, talking about the system that we use for display purposes, which we've talked about a few times, but a lot of questions have been popping up again, particularly in the Facebook group and in the comments section on the channel about the way that it's displayed, because it looks like a store, and displaying is a huge problem. It really is, because you can run out of space very, very quickly. Space is always an issue when it comes to displaying a collection, and a lot of people use bookshelves, they use DVD shelves. Sometimes they invest in like Deltovs and other display options, and it can get quite expensive. But for us, we went with this type of a system, and these are slat walls. And I'm going to explain what these are if you're not familiar with it. The slat wall system, and we also use store display units. And we've been very fortunate in obtaining these. Now, the reason we started using these systems to begin with is because it occurred to us while we were struggling, for example, trying to conform everything to bookshelves and things like that. Instead of conforming the collection to the shelf, why not get a system that conforms to the collection instead? That was the general idea. Well, where do you find a system like that? Retailers developed that system decades ago, and you're looking at it. That's why a lot of times people mistake this for being a store, because they see these slat wall systems and they think we're a retail outlet, because that's where you would see this. You see things like this in the shoe store, in the clothing store, in other types of retail outlets. You see these slat wall systems, and you see center displays like this in a lot of retail outlets as well. And so that was the idea. Hey, we can make the shelf fit the collection instead of trying to force the collection to fit the shelf. And that way, you get a lot less negative space. And the negative space, of course, is the space in between that is not being used. And as you can see, for the most part, very little negative space is available because the shelving system conforms itself to the layout. Also, it helps things to look really uniform. For example, this wall right here, that just sets up really nicely. That looks great. The way that LPH has her Maddie Club figures displayed here. And again, limited amounts of negative space. Very little space is being wasted by this system. And it does completely conform. You know, just showing you here, for example, there's a little bit of extra space here. And here's Digatino from the Sunman collection. We'll just take him off really quickly. He was sitting on this shelf, pops right out. And they come in a variety of sizes and shapes. This is a traditional shoe shelf. So is that one, but it's longer and thinner. And you can just stick it in there anywhere that you want to move your figure around and display it how you want. They can be larger, wider, thicker, angled. They come facing forward with a lip on the front, so in case you want to display something this way. They're cages that'll plug into this system. If you have stuffed animals, you wanted to put them in a cage on this wall, you can put full-size shelves. This shelf here is actually connected to the slat wall system. And I'll let you look underneath here real quick. See the bracket? The bracket goes right into the slat wall and holds the shelf up. So we can put full-size shelves. And hooks. You see there's a lot of hooks there. There's a lot of options, and here's an example of a much larger shelf that's underneath the point dread here. Let me take this point dread out and I'll show you. Because again, they come in a variety of sizes, and the shelves don't cost much. You buy them in bulk. You can buy them in bulk from eBay or Amazon. The slat wall systems themselves, most major cities have a retail outlet where they sell store supplies for retail display supplies. And the slat walls themselves don't cost much. However, they are very heavy. They're heavier than putting up sheetrock. And you lay them over the sheetrock and you screw them in directly into the studs. That's a mistake a lot of people make putting things up on the wall. Make sure it's screwed into the stud, not into the sheetrock, because it'll tear right out of the wall. These are, again, heavy, and you're going to need help putting it up. They're typically 8x4, although they do come in smaller sizes. They come in like 4x4 squares, 2x2 squares, and I've seen them in like 8x2, a lot of different sizes and shapes. Sometimes there's a run on them. We got a lot of these at discount from the retailers, because like right here, you see that one's got like a little crunch in the corner. That's enough for them to put them in the discount bin and get a deal on them. And also, hunting on Facebook Marketplace, we've had a lot of luck finding stores that are going out of business that are just getting rid of these, and they'll sell them really cheap, like 20 bucks a piece. Or we've also had some luck recently. There was a wig shop that was going out of business, and they said if you come and take them down yourself, you can have as many as you can carry. And I think we got 8 or 10 of them for free. For my wife and I just took them down. Additionally, you'll notice we also use store display units for center displays. And we don't buy these at retail. This is one that we got just recently. It's a very heavy duty unit. That's why the statues are on it. It's built specifically for heavy pieces to be displayed on it in a retail store. So we got this used from a store that was going out of business at a considerable discount, because unlike the slat walls, which, you know, they just crank these out, the store display units can be really expensive. Something like this new would cost you about $500, or more. But going on Facebook Marketplace, 50, 75 bucks sometimes. This one right here I've talked about before. It's a clothing display actually, and they usually come in like white, brown, black, and tan. Ovular, round, square, and rectangle. This is a very common type of clothing display, but it'll run you $350 to $400 new. But there was a place in an antique mall that was closing up shop, and I got it for $25. So it doesn't hurt to like look for stores that are closing, check Facebook Marketplace, things like this. These center racks also. These came from Payless. You remember Payless, the shoe store? I think I paid $25 a piece from these, or for these, at a Payless shoe source when it was closing up shop. And of course, mobile units, I can drag those around and reposition them. But they work great. So again, we just came to the conclusion that we wanted a system that would conform itself to the display rather than the items being forced to conform to an existing stationary system like a bookshelf or something like that. And you know, you do what you can do. We're fortunate enough that we're able to do this in our home. Some people can't. I get it. And you do the best that you can do and display your collection and be proud of it. But for our purposes, we've just found that this is very convenient for us. Again, a very limited amount of negative space. We can get everything in. It hugs the wall very closely. Like if I come around this way, you can see that almost nothing from the display even goes beyond the border of the door. So everything is nice and tight to the wall, so it doesn't interfere too much with the pathway. And you have a nice wide pathway so that you can maneuver around. We got a few things laying around from the Gadsden CollectorCon still that haven't been put up. But yeah, it leaves a lot of open floor space this way when everything is so tight to the wall like that, see? Instead of like bookshelves, which would definitely come out beyond this border. The only way you could keep it in the border using shelving is if you were to use like DVD shelves, and not everything's going to fit in a DVD shelf. You get the idea. But this is the system we use. We like it. We like it. We've been using it for a number of years. In the old house and now in the new one. See, this is DVD shelving here in this room. In the media area. Which works fine for media. You see, it's all video games and compact discs and things like that, VHS cassettes, because that's what that's designed for. But then you get to stuff like this and it gets kind of weird. And you can only do so much because you have to make the items now conform to the space, and it gets kind of out of hand. Like this is, to me, this is out of hand. I don't like this. But it's what I have right now. But then again, store displays work a lot better because someone already thought of this and said, what's the best way to display this? Well, here you go. And that's why we look for them. That's why we use them. That's why we like them. And then we have these shelves, which we made. I built them and my wife stained them. And it's a template for records originally, because she wanted something that would display the records like you would have found them in a store. And so we have 2 of these down here, and we have 4 more upstairs in the main record area. And then we got the idea that if it works for records, maybe it'll work for comics, and it does. And so I built a crap ton more of them, and we started displaying our comics in here. So we didn't have a bunch of short boxes just stacked every place. This is a lot neater, makes it a lot easier to flip through and find things. We like it. And again, we're using a store display concept for the comics and for the records. So hopefully that answers everybody's questions. If you have any more, take it up with Serpentor. And I'll warn you, he's not very agreeable. Thoughts? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you found that helpful or informative. I sure hope so. Hype it if you don't mind. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you are new. All of that good stuff. And if that is it, then what more can I say but thanks for watching. And we will see you again soon.